From NFL quarterback to Hollywood to the mayor's office, and now behind the mic at KXEX, this is the Alan Autry Show. No retreat.
And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
What the hell's going on out here? Everybody grabbing out there. Nobody.
That the only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
Today, I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth.
I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord.
So, 5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes! Unbelievable. Free at last! Free at last!
You're listening to the Alan Autry Show on the best talk in town. Talk Radio 1550 KXEX. Call Alan now, 559-899-1550.
And welcome to Alan Autry No Retreat. I'm old Alan Autry, so honored and humble as always to have you with us here on what we have nicknamed Thunderous Thursday. Although I wish we'd get a little thunder and a little rain here in the Central Valley. Boy, do we need it. The governor's getting ready to pull the trigger on some more water mandates. And dadgummit, I like my 30-minute shower. I'm going to whine like that. Yeah, I do. I like sitting in the shower. I gather my thoughts, I warm water on my neck, you lather up there, you get clean. And, they're telling you got to be done in like 3 minutes, 5 minutes. That's what Jerry Brown. Well, I got to admit it. I defied that law. I know I'm not a good Californian. I was a wasteful guy. All of the things apply to me. I get it. I didn't break the law. I broke his decree. It was a decree. It wasn't codified in law, so that's how I get around that. But we have a real summers here, excuse me, and here in the Central Valley, as in many places across the country, have some really bad weather. But you know what? You got to keep things in perspective. We'll make it through a hot summer. The folks in Uvalde, Texas, they've got a long journey ahead of them, especially those parents, family members who lost their children, 19 children, just savagely killed. I mean, it's beyond comprehension. I've been watching news reports, and I grew up in a little town of 3,000. I think this town in Uvalde is around 12, 16,000. Small community where literally everybody knows everybody. And pretty much a city of that size, everybody's involved in helping raise the kid. And you're hearing stories of, it's just heartbreaking on a level that is, it's sad anytime something like this happens. But I don't know if I will shake this the rest of my time on this earth, no matter how long I live. This is really hitting me hard, as I know many of you out there, and certainly the people in Uvalde. It's just, I don't know. It's the egregiousness of it. These little kids who had so much life ahead of them. You hear the stories, and you see the news reports. I was watching Fox last night, and I see Sarah Carter reporting from the scene. And Sarah's a tough cookie. She's seen a lot. And a lot of carnage in Ukraine, various places. They send her on the border. They send her a lot of places. And she has always managed to hold it together, regardless of how bad of a incident she may be reporting on. Including the death of children there at the border and other places. Just some tough assignments she's had. And last night, she couldn't hold it together. Talking about a family that had lost their 2 kids, and it was just really heart-wrenching to see her feel that pain so close to it all. And anyway, it's a rough thing there, and truly our thoughts and prayers go to them. And I tell you, having said that, I want to get a little emphatic with folks. Bakari Sellers comes to mind, and on a national level, the CNN fella. And I don't call names. I made a promise that I won't call anybody an idiot, call them stupid person. I'll say they may have done an idiotic thing or said a stupid thing. I just was not raised to call people names, except I want to make a little caveat here. I was called by my coach a knucklehead. Make knucklehead decisions, and Coach Jordan. And you didn't want to be a knucklehead. So I'm going to reserve the right to call out some knuckleheads. And also, if knuckleheads means they probably don't know any better. But then those that know better, I call them knotheads. All right, so I may use that term from time to time. And there's a couple of knuckleheads, and some would say knotheads, that spoke out on anyone who sends their thoughts and prayers to these family members. Because these are folks that automatically have politicized it, jumped on this tragedy for gun control as if gun control and only gun control is going to stop what happened. I'm all for some new sensible gun laws. I am. It makes sense that don't infringe on Second Amendment rights. I think we're due for that. And I think you can get there. You can have some more sensible, strong gun control laws that do not infringe on the Second Amendment rights that we all have. But you hear these people, Bakari Sellers, again on national CNN, came out and said he's sick and tired of hearing people send their prayers to the folks involved. He called them prayers worthless. Prayers are worthless. Well, first of all, I've got to step back, gather myself, and respond rather than react when I hear something. Because first of all, my Christian faith says I need to pray for that individual, Bakari Sellers, who would say something so egregious. Absolutely, they needed prayers. By the way, before you said that, Bakari, did you ask any of the parents there in Uvalde if they felt the prayers that people are sending their way are worthless and that they didn't want them? Did you take the time to maybe do that? Because you're saying how distraught you are over the loss of life there and the suffering that the families and friends in that town as a whole is going through. You ever think to make a call and maybe ask them, would you like us to all stop our worthless prayers? That's unconscionable. And he calls himself a man of faith. I'm not going to question his faith, but I will tell you this. Nowhere in that Bible that, Bakari, you say you believe in, remotely says that prayer is worthless. On the contrary, it says it's one of the most powerful things that you can have at your disposal. It has turned impossible situations around. It's made unwinnable situations winnable, unbearable grief bearable because of prayer. Then we have, I'm sorry, Bakari, in my book, you're a knucklehead. And you're sort of in the knothead genre because you purport to be a Christian and you know better. You could separate, let's have some sensible gun reform, but don't try to tell people that whatever you and your brilliance and Congress and their brilliance and the president and their brilliance can come up with, that is going to stop the evil that was in this young man's heart. And if you want to get a gun, you're going to get a gun. Some of the most egregious murders happen on a nightly basis in cities that have the strongest gun laws. Chicago, Baltimore, New York, L.A., San Francisco, just to name a few. And then locally, I hate to call this out because I like the individual. We politically don't agree on a lot. But heretofore has shown a little common sense and restraint and ability to kind of see things in a leadership fashion and want to bring some people together, although some people would dispute that. And I'm talking about Councilman Miguel Arias, who responded to Mayor Dyer's and some other officials' press conference in which Mayor Dyer, being a strong man of faith, who has seen more death and destruction as a cop, been in more heart-wrenching situations with families than, Miguel, you will ever experience. Thank goodness. Probably wouldn't want. Jerry Dyer would be the first one to tell you, Miguel, I don't want you to have to see the things I've seen as a cop in terms of the loss of life and senseless killings. Okay? But Miguel said, and I'm paraphrasing a little bit, we have the actual quote, we'll put it up here tomorrow on Free for All Friday. Basically the same thing Bakari Sellers said. Just keep your thoughts and prayers. They're basically worthless. Dad, gummit, Miguel. Don't go there. You are above that. You know, we don't agree politically on things, but I hadn't put you in the knucklehead and knothead category. But right now, man, you're knocking at the door. And I'm not talking about the knucklehead door, the knothead door. You know better. At least I thought you did. Goodness gracious, what is with you folks? And you're hearing congressmen talking like that. It becomes a catchphrase. Prayers are worthless. Keep your prayers. Don't send your thoughts and prayers. I'm sick of hearing that. Sick of hearing about this God thing. We need to stop these people from killing other people. And we have the answers because we're anointed intellectually. And everywhere you can imagine, we know what's best for you. We have the answers. And you freaking Republicans, get on board. So let's pass some laws that's going to stop evil. Let's pass some laws that are going to enslave Satan so he never gets out again and wreaks his havoc upon mankind. Some of these people feel that way. They're drunk with power. They believe they can harness evil. They have what Thomas Sowell called an unconstrained vision. They believe instead of a man being born flawed, and those flaws are fixed, and as we did in the United States in our revolution, we have to have the institutions that protect us from the worst angels of mankind, the worst impulses of mankind. And history has proven you give power to people, they always abuse it. And they wind up hurting and killing other people in that name. And the thing is that if you look at our founding documents, the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution, it codifies rights that government can't infringe upon, God-given rights, and recognizing, again, that man is innately born to have those impulses of darkness and evil, and will act upon it. So all the best you can do is have institutions to control that. That's why we have the separation of powers. The founding fathers were brilliant because they came from a spiritual perspective, a God perspective, not from man's own wisdom. They said, instead of having a king, let's have ambition check ambition. So let's have three co-equal branches of government: the judiciary, Congress, the lawmaking body, and the executive branch. And let them work together, and what comes out, hopefully, will be policies that are helpful and fair to all mankind. Now, it didn't always work, but it worked better than any other system if you value freedom and liberty. But these folks believe what Thomas Sowell calls those that believe in the unconstrained vision, that man is inherently good. Okay? No God, nothing. Man, just by the creation, human beings are good. And if you just get the right institutions in place and the right people in place, you can have literally heaven on earth. No violence, never be a Robb Elementary School, never be a Columbine, never be a subway shooting. There won't be starvation. There won't be random acts of violence. There won't be rapes, murders, abuse. All of that will go away if you have the right institutions in place and put the right people in charge. That's what these people on the left that are calling for the gun control, which I'm all for, sensible gun control. Work it out bipartisanly. I think you can come up with something really good that would make us a little bit safer, that could make schools a little bit safer in terms of gun control. But to eliminate and tell people eliminate the threat that there will never be a Robb Elementary School shooting again, to sell that bill of goods, that fantasy, that very dangerous dream that this is not attainable, and try to sell people that you have the power to do that, that will just elect you and give you power, that's unconscionable. That gets on the fighting side of me. And I'm going to call it out. For whoever's listening, and I tell you, our listenership and our viewership, it's growing brick by brick. And I just fondly refer to us as Autry's Army. And, we're free thinkers. We're an army of free thinkers. I never tell you what to think. If I ever have, you call me up and dress me down. We just happen to be this faith, family, and freedom are three of the founding principles, the three most important founding principles of this country. And if you look at it, when they started messing with that, we allowed a different ideology to come in and erode that and take it away, things started going downhill for this country. You can look at 1960, I believe it was 1960, that they took the freedom to have prayer in school out. Couldn't pray anymore. Even if all your kids wanted to, you voted on it, the parents said, hey, we'd like a little moment, a minute of prayer before we start the school day. Done away with, except in private schools, public schools. And you can chart the downward trend of pretty much all of societal issues in a negative downward spiral from that point, 1960. I think there's something there that needs to be examined. I think it's something that needs to be allowed in the so-called difficult discussion that we all need to have concerning where our country is right now. Because we are, and I'm going to say it, I'm not going to give up on America. I'll go to my grave believing we can fight back. But I'm also a realist. Truth will set you free, and first it'll make you miserable. And the miserable truth is we are a country in decline in every area imaginable. The question is, can we recognize that, come together, and stop it? To say no more. And to quote Kamala Harris, enough is enough. Now, we're talking about different things, probably, when we say that. But truly, enough is enough. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, I want to give you a little update. We got our two screens up here, one CNN, one Fox. So, hey, we're fair and balanced here. And some of the latest reports from the school, we're going to fill you in on that. And then Joe Biden had a chance to be, for the first time since he took office, presidential. He almost made it. I was pulling for him. Yeah, I said it. I was pulling for him. But then, well, Biden happened. Biden happened, as it always happens. This is Alan Autry, No Retreat, Faith, Family, and Freedom. We will never retreat from those three principles. We'll be right back. Who more than self? I love that, Ray Charles.
Also, we have Laura Fisher on the phone.
Oh, we got Laura. Florida. That's the new name of that state. Florida. I love you guys. Have I told you lately that I love you? Autry's Army. Have I told you lately that I care? Jeremy in the booth. If I could remember the other words to this song, I'd keep singing. But I'll save your ears and quit. I guess that's a better serenade. Oh, you know what I got on my phone the other day? It kind of threw me. We had Buddy Mendes, great interview with Buddy, and we had Larry Powell yesterday. Great to see Larry back. He's just, God, I love that guy. I was an only child, and Larry's like a big brother to me. I know I look older than him. He's older than me. I know I look all right. But I got 8 dog years of mayorship under my belt, so cut me some slack. But I was sitting there, I got my little phone here, just like those millennials I always criticize about standing on their phone too much. And I got a caller ID from El Pollo Loco. What in the world, El Pollo Loco? They didn't leave a message or anything. You think El Pollo Loco just like butt dialed me or something? I was kind of interested in that. I love El Pollo Loco. I said, did I leave a credit card there or something? No, they didn't leave a message. I told my wife, she said, it's a scam. Why would you scam from El Pollo Loco? I mean, how dumb do you think seniors are? You got on there. Yeah, we'll give you a number 4 meal, 3 wings, some beans, and a Coke if you'll give me your Social Security number. Okay. You got a pen there? 56? Almost gave him a Social Security number. Oh, boy. Okay. Dadgum, I know you all feel the same way. Many of you. Dadgum, this thing in Vivaldi. Jeez. But you know, the Bible says what man meant for evil, God meant for good. And those kids, they're in heaven now. My faith, and the Bible I read, my interpretation is they go right to heaven. So they're in the loving arms of Jesus Christ right now. And the Bible also says what man meant for evil, as I said, God meant for good. So maybe this is the event that will shock
30 seconds?
Both parties enough to say on some issues we got to get together. And I would caution Republicans heading up to the midterm, even though everybody's focused on inflation, the war in Ukraine, don't minimize this issue. Be a willing participant in talking with the Democrats on some sensible gun control that does not infringe on safety.
You're listening to the Alan Autry Show on the best talk in town. Talk Radio 1550 KXEX. Call Alan now, 559-899-1550.
And welcome back to Alan Autry No Retreat. Folks, I say this a lot, but I look around, a lot of guys old like me. I asked them, I said, well, when you're out, especially in the Central Valley, I said, did you ever pick cotton? Oh, no, I never picked cotton. I picked cotton. And it was, I had my little cotton sack that Mama sewed me and stuff, and I can remember it like it was yesterday. But I will tell you this. I'm not nostalgic for that work. That's one job I'm glad technology came in and put away, was that cotton picking stuff. Man, you cut your fingers and just drag that bag through the field, and you got to get, back then you had to walk up the ladder and dump it yourself. But you got paid on the spot, which was kind of nice. Then California came in and shut that down. Okay, Laura, you're on the line. Hang in there, Laura, because I want to set this up a little bit. Then you have some perspectives on the Texas shooting. I certainly want to hear it. But Joe Biden had a chance. I don't know if you saw it. He made his statements after the shooting. He just got back from Asia, I think that day, and so obviously he's tired, and don't give him, some understanding for that. But he came out to give some remarks, and folks, the unbelievable happened. For about 45 seconds a minute, Joe Biden was actually presidential. And to quote Joe, did you hear me? It was presidential. Joe Biden whispered. He had me going. I'm sitting there, and my wife and I listening to him going, attaboy, Joe. Attaboy. Because I don't care about where we differ on Ukraine, the border, abortion right now. You're speaking on behalf of all of us. You are our president. And these folks in Uvalde need some comfort because all of our hearts are broken and shattered, and particularly these good folks in Uvalde. And I likened what happened to a horse race back in 1956. Okay, you say, that's quite a segue, Alan. Well, I'm going to show you a little clip, and you'll see what I mean. There was a 1956, this big race in England, and there was a horse named Devon Larkey, I believe was his name. And he was projected to win. They thought he was going to win. He just had a history, from what I understand, of some erratic behavior. He just couldn't help but do something crazy, the horse. And I'm going to play the last part of this. Jeremy's going to, and I want you to watch because to me it kind of reminds me of what happened with Biden. After we watch this clip, then we'll play the clip of Biden, and you might see what I mean. Here we go.
As Devon Lock and Eagle Lodge battle it out, loose horses are causing trouble to the other survivors.
You guys on radio, we're watching it right now, sorry. Horse race going. All right, here we go. coming into the home.
Jockey Dick Francis is pushing Devon Lock ahead inch by inch. Eagle Lodge is beginning to tire, but there's still plenty of power in the Royal Horse.
Everybody's pulling for Devon Lock. He's going to win this one.
And now it's ESB taking up the challenge as Eagle Lodge drops back. But Devon Lock's going strongly at jump 29, and he looks to the crowd as though a royal win's a certainty. Into the final straight with victory in sight for Devon
He's
Lock.
gone.
He's clear away from ESB
Devon
and
Lock's
Gentle
gonna
Warrior.
win.
Only 40 yards to go. Devon Lock can't lose.
He can't.
He slipped. He's down. ESB streaks past to win by 10 lengths.
Okay.
With
All right. Folks on social media saw it. All right. Let's run the Joe Biden clip and see if folks see what I mean.
Good evening, fellow Americans. I had hoped when I became president I would not have to do this.
Very good.
Again.
I feel you, Joe, sincerely.
Another massacre. Uvalde, Texas. An elementary school. Beautiful, innocent, second, third, fourth graders. And how many scores of little children who witness what happened see their friends die as if they're on a battlefield, for God's sake. They'll live with the rest of their lives. There's a lot we don't know yet. There's a lot we do know. The parents who will never see their child again, never have them jump in bed and cuddle with them.
Now that's a president
Parents
talking
will
right
never
now.
be the same.
Attaboy.
To lose a child is like having a piece of your soul ripped away.
He's got me right
There's
now.
a hollowness in your chest. You feel like you're being sucked into it and never going to be able to get out. Suffocating. It's never quite the same. It's a feeling shared by the siblings and the grandparents and the family members and the community that's left behind. Scripture says, Jill and I have talked about this in different contexts, in other contexts. The Lord is near to the brokenhearted and saves the crushed in spirit.
Way to go, Joe.
So
You're
many
doing
crushed
good. You're in the
spirits.
stretch, leading the race. Keep going. You got us.
So
You got me.
tonight, I ask the nation to pray for them. Give the parents and siblings the strength in the darkness they feel right now. As a nation, we have to ask, when in God's name
No.
are we going to stand up to the gun lobby?
No, don't go there.
When in
Joe, you
God's
fell
name
in the stretch. No,
we do what we all
Joe.
know in our gut needs to
Don't
be done.
go there. You had the race
It's been
won. You were ahead by 10 links.
3,448 days. 10 years since I stood up at a high school in Connecticut, a grade school.
Yeah,
in
let's start doing a litany of all
where
the
another
shootings,
gunman
Joe.
massacred 26 people,
Oh,
including
God.
20 first graders.
Okay.
in Sandy Hook.
Let's just. Oh my gosh, Joe, you almost had it. You were almost presidential. You were leading in the stretch, like that English horse, by 10 links, and you freaking fell down and blew it. Goodness gracious, my wife and I were just. I mean, he had me sobbing. He had me. And then he just had to politicize himself. You know, it's almost like that old scorpion and the frog story. I'll tell it real quick and we'll go to Laura. It's an old story. Many of you heard it, so if you have, please bear with me, but I think it's really appropriate here. I think it illustrates the situation we have with people like Joe Biden that are so politicized, you just, no event, no tragedy, no occurrence of any magnitude can knock the politics out of them and let them just be human. Completely human for a while. The story about the scorpion comes up. There's a lake there, and scorpion wants to get over the other side. There's a frog, kind of hanging there, sunbathing. Scorpion says to the frog, says, "Hey, can you let me get on your back and give you a ride over there?" The frog goes, hey, you crazy? Scorpion goes, no, what do you mean? Goes, oh, yeah. And the frog's being a nice guy. He's a nice frog. He goes, no, man, you're a scorpion. You're going to sting me and I'll die. And the scorpion goes, oh, come on. If I get on your back and we start across that lake and I sting you, we're both going to drown. You drown, I'm going to drown. Does that make sense? You think I'd do that? So the frog thought about it for a while. He says, okay, being the nice frog he is, jump on. So the scorpion jumps on the frog's back. They're swimming across there, just enjoying things, talking about the weather and that sort of thing. They get halfway across the lake, and bam, the scorpion stings him. Stings the frog. The frog can't believe it. He looks up at the scorpion, and as the frog is going through his death throes, and they're starting to sink slowly into the lake to kill them both, he looks up at the scorpion and says, why? Why did you do that? The scorpion looked at him and says, because I'm a scorpion. Unfortunately, too many politicians on the right and the left are scorpions. They cannot adjust their thinking. They're so politically drunk, so politically poisoned, so ingrained and indoctrinated for so many years that they will die, rather than try to check that instinct to be political on things and just be human. The thought of being human, the thought of actually feeling something and leave it. If Joe Biden would have just cut that off and said, I could have given him hundreds of different ways to leave that press conference and still satisfy the ones that want to confiscate guns, because that's who he's trying to mollify, that group. All you have to say is send like you did. He did it great. He brought his own personal experience in. He's lost a child, 2 children. And I wouldn't, gosh, my goodness. Us who have kids, we don't want to think about that, having to go through that. But he could have said, look, I will have more to say on the ramifications of this horrible, horrible tragedy, but today is not the day. God bless them, the folks in Uvalde, and leave. Just leave. Don't take any questions. He would have, if not, I'm not saying his poll numbers would start soaring, but I guarantee you people would have looked at him a little different. People like me, independent thinkers, the far right, they're scorpions. Far left, they're scorpions. You ain't going to get the scorpions. But you're going to get most people in the middle who are not scorpions. They're not politically drunk. They have unshakable principles, but flexible politics in many situations. But he blew it again, and it's just, all right, we got Laura on the line. Laura, are you there, dear?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm here.
Hey, you said you got a perspective on the Texas shooting. Give it to us.
Well, oh God, I got to try to keep it together. I bought a bulletproof backpack yesterday, so for my granddaughter.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
Well, yeah, there is a lot wrong with that.
Well, I know what you mean. Yeah, but I mean, in today's climate, I don't.
Body armor for a baby is not something that I would ever expect that I would have to do.
I understand from that perspective, but
I did.
We live in the world we live in.
As a parent who has lost a child unexpectedly, immediately, and preventatively, I can tell you that anyone who says that thoughts and prayers are worthless can go straight to hell.
Oh my goodness! How can those words come out of you?
Because
not you. Not you. I'm talking about them.
Covered her daughter's body.
Not you.
And was unable to get out of bed for 2 days.
Yeah.
If I didn't have people rallying around me.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be here having this conversation with you, even though I knew I had a 2-year-old that was relying on me, and I had another.
I hear you. I hear you, girl. I hear you. And I wasn't saying how can anybody you saying that. I meant how could those guys say that?
The pain of losing a child. It is such a grotesque feeling. We don't even have a word for it in the English dictionary. If you lose your parents, you're an orphan. If you lose your spouse, you're a widow or a widower. There is no word to describe a parent who loses a child. It's that bad. Wow. When something is so bad, you can't even describe it. Unless you've been through it, sit down and shut up.
Yes.
Period.
Amen.
Just be there.
Amen. 120%, if that's possible. I agree with you. You know, it astounded me that Bakari Sellers here locally in McGill, and they have so many others parroting that. I'm thinking, some of these parents hadn't even found their kids yet, or didn't even know if they were alive. And you're telling people to keep their thoughts and prayers to themselves, speaking for these people, saying they don't need him, it's worthless. God, how dare they?
I understand parents, the Sandy Hook parents, because you reach a point of anger, especially when you know that it could have been prevented. It could have been stopped. It could have, you think that in your head, even if it couldn't have. You believe, you try to rationalize, you try to say, well, if I'd done this, if they had done this, if someone had done that, my child wouldn't be dead. And that's part of the anger. And so when Sandy Hook parents screamed at politicians, I don't want your thoughts and prayers anymore, I get that. I get that. And they have that right to get through that.
Mm-hmm.
But for anyone else to speak for any parent who's lost a child and say, that's worthless. No, it's not. Because these people haven't even it hasn't even registered with them yet. I watched a father yesterday on the news, and you could look at him and tell there was nobody home.
Yeah.
There was nobody home. I mean, he was talking and he was calm, and I looked at my husband and I said, he doesn't even know what planet he's on.
Oh. Yeah.
You could tell. He has not even processed the idea that his baby is gone.
It's just unimaginable. And you bringing up that point, I'll never forget that. That they don't even have a word for it. It's so egregious, so horrible, so sickening, so beyond, you can't describe it. Obviously, you can't.
There is a time and a place for the politics. And the thing that absolutely infuriates me about all of this, there is no level of background check that would have prevented what happened. Because that young man had no criminal history.
Yeah. And
he had only been evaluated by a psychiatrist.
Mm-hmm.
That is not going to do anything. That's not going to show up.
Well, Laura,
it's only if they're taken in by police.
Well, that was my point. Let me ask you this, because I want your response on it. Here's my big gripe. I want to reiterate right now. I am all for the leaders of this country to get together, because we've had a big spike in these shootings here over the last several years. Something's going on. To do a comprehensive look at this situation from a mental health standpoint and the gun control situation. I'm convinced that there probably is some other measures that can be taken in terms of gun control that does not infringe on a Second Amendment right. But here's where it rubs me wrong. When you got people like Beto O'Rourke and these other folks coming out saying, if you do this, if you give us your guns, if you let us pass this legislation, events like this won't happen. You know who, not too long ago, and I think they still lead it, Jeremy just showed me a graphic of mass shootings, was Finland and Norway. They have gun laws left and right there. Yet they were more than the United States up to 2015 in mass shootings. And this whole thing that you're telling people of Uvalde and everybody else, you just give us the power, you take away the guns, and you're never going to have violence like that again. That's what rubs me wrong, Laura. What's your take?
Well, here's the thing. There are solutions to this, but nobody wants to really do anything. And I can tell you the number one reason why nobody wants to do anything is because without each side screaming about guns, either taking them away or giving us more, that's one big part of their political platform that goes away. One of the boogeymen has to go, just like immigration. I mean, honestly, Alan, we've been fighting about this for how long?
Good point. Well, since I can remember.
So that's because here's the hard, cold reality. I mean, I crunched the numbers last night because, as you know, I did not sleep, knowing that I have a bulletproof backpack coming for my granddaughter.
Bless your heart. Yeah.
So in 2021, there were 4,194 officer-involved shootings for domestic violence calls that resulted in 1,009 deaths of civilians and 77 police officers were killed. Okay? because they did not know there were weapons in the home when they arrived at the call. The Columbine shooting happened because underage kids were able to buy guns in a parking lot of a gun show. The Pulse massacre happened because the gentleman who went in there and shot that place up bought 9 weapons in a matter of 4 days. The Aurora movie theater shooting, 14 weapons in 2 days. The Las Vegas shooter, he went across the country and amassed 117 weapons. This kid bought 2 AR-15s in a span of 3 days. That's just a couple, okay? So here's what we could do. Since 92% of law enforcement is for it, and the only people that are against it are the far-right loonies and the NRA, what do you say we have an interactive national database? Because 99.999% of responsible gun owners, I know, I asked 200 of them and 5 gun dealers. How many guns do you buy at a time? 1. My husband's best friend has a gun collection that was just appraised at $1.6 million. He's the one that told me we need a national database because no responsible gun owner is going to care.
Well, we got to take
being a well-regulated militia, because the second somebody goes to Dick's Sporting Goods and buys an AR-15 and 20 minutes later goes to Bass Pro and buys another AR-15, guess what? The law enforcement will get notified, and they can at least go check them out.
We got to take a break. We're backed up against the break here, but let me just make a quick comment on this. That's whether I agree with that in totality or not. I agree with you in this. It should be on the table for discussion. And we're not having people, as you said, hey, I'm not going to be for that and get up and leave the room. Put it on the table. Everything should be on the table, and hopefully, God willing, you'll come out with sensible gun laws improvements that are going to help make our kids a little bit safer. When we come back, Laura, I want you to hang on the line if you can. If you can't, I understand. But I want to talk about some things that can be done immediately at schools to make our kids safer. Because there's things we can do right now while we wait for the politicians to try to hash this stuff out. This is Alan Autry, No Retreat, KXEX 1550, best talk in town. That's what they say. We'll be right back.
That's for Dr. Strange. That's.
Laura, you're still on the line here.
I'm sorry. I had to tell them. They're running around with these figures, and I told them what cake they were for before they did God knows what with them.
I just got a text from my good buddy Ken Shockley. You'd love Kenny, Laura. He served our country so honorably for a lot of years. He's back home here in Fresno here. But he says, nice seeing the dress shirts. Very mayoral. Laugh out loud.
Yeah, you are looking awful snazzy lately. What's up with that?
Well, from this up, you see what I got now below there with my shorts, my gym shorts, and all that stuff. I come right from the gym, and my wife got on me. People got on me. You go in there in t-shirts and this and that. I'll throw a shirt on with a collar every now and then.
Really get on to me because all I wear is jeans, combat boots, and concert shirts.
Why am I not surprised? I think that's
two
good.
Dresses, one for a funeral and one for a wedding. And if I can't wear combat boots with it, I don't wear it.
Yeah. But weren't you just so? I know you saw Joe Biden's, his response.
I turned it off. I couldn't do it.
But I didn't. It was the best, I think, minute and 15 seconds that he's ever had as president. I think, and then he just snatched defeat out of the jaws of victory. And I'm reminded about Barack Obama said, says never underestimate the power of Joe to screw things up. He used a little bit.
That's who he should have called. Because Barack Obama really did an incredible speech after.
Laura, I saw it so too, but he's starting to go nuts land. Did you see his tweet yesterday?
I did, but my husband did.
Oh my goodness. Okay, yes, it's the second anniversary of George Floyd. We all mourn his, this egregious act of abuse of power in the police, and Chauvin's in prison serving. He'll be there the rest of his life. He got what he deserved on there. But my goodness, if you didn't see the tweet, folks, I don't know if we have it, but Jeremy's got it. Goodness gracious, he has better instincts. But he gets up there on this terrible day that I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but not much, are with the folks in Uvalde, Texas. Oh, here it is. It's on the screen. As we grieve the children of Uvalde today, we should take time to recognize that 2 years have passed since the murder of George Floyd under the knee of a police officer. His killing stays with us all this day, especially those who loved him. All right, gosh darn it. Make separate tweets if you have to. Don't mention the same one as we grieve the children of Ukraine today. Hey, we should take time now. I mean, it's like an aside. Here's an aside about the Uvalde tragedy. He's a knothead. He knows better than that. He's not in the knucklehead category. He knows better than that. And to tweet something like, hey, crazy things are happening every day.
10 seconds.
All right, here we go. Yesterday. I looked up at the screen. Let me give you some of the breaking news here. Apparently, there was no armed resource officer on the campus there at Robb Elementary School. The killer came in through an unlocked door. I guess there was multiple entrances to the school. So let's just take those two things right there. If you had armed, they call them resource officers, but they're law enforcement people, former cops, military folks there that have guns and know how to use that gun and have great instincts. When I was in a cop, if you ever go out to eat with a cop, that cop will never sit with his back to the door. He'll always take the seat where he's looking at the door, because who may come in that may not have the best intentions. They're trained. They have these instincts that you can only come from being in law enforcement. Have one of those on every freaking campus in the country.
They had two at Parkland.
Yes, but here's the point. I'm not saying even that is going to stop every attack. I'm saying
they ran the other direction.
Yes, well, I'm saying get trained correct. Okay, that's the exception. We also have the ones that gave their life, and I think there was a shooting there where this guy, the police got there, took the guy down. He'd already killed enough people, too many kids, but we had a trained law enforcement person there. But you have them on campus, then you're going to have to, I hate to say this, because you want campuses to be open and inviting. But those days are over. Those days are over. That was for another era. We're in 2022, and from here on, you're going to have to reinforce that school, wherever it is, no matter how big or little that school is. Because Columbine was a big school, Uvalde was a little school. The folks that are mentally ill come after them all, and have one entrance into that school, one entrance only, and you're going to have cameras everywhere. And so, what do you think about that to start off with, as you're seeing improvements in sensible gun control laws?
I think that it's never going to happen because they're never going to fund it.
Well, I think they have no choice. They'll have to now. I mean, these
idiots that we've got in there now. Oh no! That doesn't make money.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be. I don't think it's a money issue. Do you know why? Here's why I think they will.
They can't even buy glue sticks.
No, well, let me just speak from California's standpoint. Okay, I know in Florida, but California's standpoint, there was armed security on most campuses, like here in Fresno. Then we had the George Floyd incident, which the kids said they don't want the armed officer on campus anymore. So the kids said it made them feel unsafe. So the whole system bowed to the kids, and took a lot of these officers off the campus. They were able to afford them. It was figured into the budget. They don't cost that much. And my point is this: when are adults going to be adults? I don't care what the kids say. You know what's best for those kids. You're a grown-up. You had kids you'd have ice cream and Coca-Cola for lunch every day and a moon pie. You don't do that. Hey, I want that kid. Why? I don't want an officer armed protecting me on campus because it makes me feel safe. Well, let's educate you, because that armed officer's there to protect you. We're not going to do what all the kids want. That's the problem that society has gotten in. We've bowed to the kids. And what did this administration promise to do? to bring the adults back in the room. How many times you hear after Biden was elected? Well, the adults are finally back in the room. Things are going to be different. Those little Trump children are out. The adults are back, and things are going to be different. No, you got the whole stinking country run by little kids to have an Ivy League degree and think they're smart that's never had a job in the private sector in their life. Never cashed any check except a government check that we pay for. And that's where we are. We have to have grown-ups come in and be able to say, you can march all you want, kids. And by the way, you want to have a walkout? No, you're not. You're going to be suspended. You can't walk out. Here in Fresno, these kids are walking out left and right. What happened to the day you walk out, you're going to have a heck of a time walking back in. And when you come back in, there's going to be consequences. Why? Because we're the adults and you're not. That used to be how this country was.
If I did something like that would have been the last thing I would have remembered when I woke up on the floor.
Exactly. And you look at this.
I'm not an adult, Alan, because I did eat a banana moon pie for lunch.
Well, there are moon pies. Yeah, I don't mean to just say that moon pies are the sole property of teens and toddlers, but you know what I mean. We've turned this whole thing over. School boards, city council, to the kids' demands. A kid, they have a walkout. The kids, led protest.
Wait, just and talking about the resource officers.
Yes.
I'm going to just give you a couple.
Okay, we got a minute left. We got 1 minute left. So, all right, and whatever we leave today, we'll go to tomorrow on Free for All Friday. Go ahead.
In 9 schools, just here in my area in Central Florida, kids brought guns to school. They got right through with them. And every one of those schools, the one school is not that far from me. It's the high school. They have 5 resource officers. And this kid had a 9mm in his waistband.
Well,
it
sounds like they're not.
They're not paying attention.
Well, yeah, exactly. It's not about that the resource officers aren't there. It sounds like the system isn't set up properly to properly utilize those resource officers.
And then when people argue metal detectors, the problem with that is 3D printers can be purchased for $200 on the internet. And my husband's printed several guns just to show me and then broke them.
Wow. Laura Fisher, you always liven up things. Appreciate it. We hear that music. It's time for us to skedaddle out of here. God bless you and your family, Laura. God bless you, the listeners, and folks in Uvalde. We love you. Stay strong. And you know what? I'm going to say it right now. Our prayers are with you from the deepest part of our souls are with you. Amen. God bless you. God bless America. Remember, just do your best and let God do the rest. That's all he expects of you. That's all you can expect of yourself. See you tomorrow on Free for All Friday. Bye-bye now.